Well, top of the morning to you. You've reached the Tasmania Reactions channel. Welcome, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Anything you want. Anything that you want to say you agree, you don't agree, facts, personal, anything I'll look at. And if I need to look into it, you would like a response, I'll give you one. But everything helps. As I said, today what we're going to do is we're going to be getting into a post that I made on another social media account. And as I said before, this is kind of a channel for me as I would talk to my daughters or my sons on how I would approach situations. In this scenario, you're going to have what I post, and they're going to be two different individuals pretty much arguing. They don't have the same views that I do, clearly. They have a similar point of view where they want the argument to go to. And as I said, I'm here to maybe give some guidance. I'm not perfect. It doesn't always work. But I've learned things over the years in different organizations, in person. And we've gone through certain things to help young men out, older men, to get through some things here and there. And this is going to be a situation where we're talking about somebody who, when you disagree with somebody, maybe a certain way to handle something, especially when they're totally on the opposite side of where you believe. So, and I don't necessarily know if they're actually against what I post. It's just you can tell they're not on the same side as we don't have the same beliefs for sure. So, anyways, I posted. I'm really tired of hearing all this negativity against Muslim, Islam, and the Quran. I mean, the Quran can't be that bad when it says only hit your wives as a last resort, and then also explains how to hit your wives. Come on, geez, lighten up, guys. Obviously, a little satire. I was doing research. As I said, I'm always doing research. Just happened, I mean, I knew about this, but it just came up, popped in my head. I decided to post this just because, I mean, these things need to be known. A lot of people don't know a lot of these things, and all of a sudden you're going through your social media, seeing stupid things here and there, and all of a sudden you read something like this, like, no way, or something pops up, and then all of a sudden, if I could just get that one person to be like, holy shit, that really, what? I'm down with that. So, end up getting a response. I'll start with this individual first. The individual responds and said, they are not the issue. It is the jihad extreme assassins trained since 5 years old to gun down at a moment's notice. They're here in the country now. They come here willing for a common purpose. Beyond that, they aren't the real enemy either. We are at war with the country to divide and conquer America right now. It's not Iran or China. Again, at least when I post, I don't divert into somebody else's argument. And to be honest with you, just in arguments in general. I've learned over being married for so long, and I know Bill Burr has a thing out there about how I'm really bringing this franchise around. I'm really seeing the light. There's some truth to that, and I've learned that. What does he say? If you're arguing with a woman, he's learned if you're right, they'll divert and go somewhere else. If you're wrong, they will argue the point. That pretty much goes to anybody who's extremely against what you believe. And, well, I mean, just plain and simple. I mean, the extremes on both ways usually want to divert what they're talking about. Even if what you're, like, for instance, well, let me just continue with this because I want to use real examples. So I replied, stop moving to countries, because the other one I'm going to talk to who actually answered before he did, but I wanted to go to this one. Stop moving to countries. Stick to the post. It's about the Quran and what it teaches. You're not wrong about the jihad extremists, but it's more than the jihad extremists. Check current events in European countries. It's about what they're teaching. Make your own post, argue my post, or terminate thread. Pretty please. So in a way, sense, I pretty much said, hey, I mean, because I don't think he was wrong. However, you need to argue what I posted. If you're going to post on my post, stick to my post. There's no reason I go off to somebody else's. I know a lot of people do that, but honestly, I would argue this point too. I think he's right. I mean, I've done the studies where at 5 years old, if you got those little movies out there, Disney movies like The Bug's Life or whatever, they redub the audio to be that the grasshoppers are the United States and that the ants are the Middle Eastern people, the Muslims, and they make it to the point that you're watching at 3 years old, you're watching A Bug's Life, but it's pretty much saying how evil America is and how great they are and how bad. If you know The Bug's Life, if that's the one I'm thinking of, but they pretty much do that to any Disney movie. Look it up; it's out there. Not going to get into it. I've had another video about that a long while ago, but but when they're taught at 5 years old, probably a good reason why they hate America or whatever however they want to dub that in. But that's getting into his argument. I wasn't going to get in his argument because when I post, we stick to my post or get off my thread. I don't kick you. I don't erase anything. I just don't answer you, and I'll show you how you and certain arguments in a little bit here. So he ended up posting after I did that something that had to do with the post and pretty much said, "Yeah, you're right. I got you." Blah blah blah. And it does sound like I don't believe we probably have the same views, but I think we are a little concerned both about extremists and whatnot. So we probably have some common ground, which would be great. I'd love to talk to this guy in person. So I posted because I lost it. I don't know if he just deleted it because maybe he thought it was too nice, but it was actually not bad. But obviously, maybe he didn't know how I was going to respond because I have tons of people out there that I just leave on my channel or anything. So I responded. Somehow I can't find your last comment, but I will say this: our founding fathers started a revolution over a breakfast beverage, and we're sitting here letting this go. And this is just a recent video that I've noticed, and I've already had like in 3 of my videos, but it is alarming and literally pisses me off. But here you go.
وأسأل الله أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد والفرج فيه للمؤمنين على يديه وقتل الكافر.
And the killing of the infidels, another translation is non-believers, non-Muslims, by your sword. Bro, you have the mayor of the largest city, most influential city, arguably, in the United States, giving his blessing to a Muslim imam, publicly praying for the killing of the infidels, non-Muslims, by your sword. All I'm saying is if you were to ask the question, we have to be wise. And
okay, so I sent that with it, and he responded, agree. I'm frustrated also. Once again, I think him and I would have some common ground. I don't know how much more we would agree on, but you don't have to be crazy to kind of agree with that. And actually, there was a third person, and they haven't responded to me because, once again, remember what I did in my post. She said, "Is it okay for a man to marry a child?" What does that have to do with my post, right? So I kept it within my post. I said, according to the Quran, as Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated the marriage with her at the age of 9. Look it up. Be explained a little more. Surprisingly, no response from that, and that was 5 hours ago. So another individual decides to send me, where are we at here? Sends me, this is a response to, remember, just saying about how the Quran explains how to hit your wives as a last resort, and then it actually teaches you how to hit your wives. Her response was, okay then, shall we talk about how women are treated in the U.S.? I had a couple of individuals respond to her which is where I want to, which I'm not going to say what they said, because I want to focus on, if you want to have a decent discussion and an argument, and it's your argument, if you go to another person's argument, argue the way you want, if you want to win, but you want to stick to your argument. My whole thing is, I don't get in arguments to argue and win. I get in arguments to get a point across, whether you agree or not. I don't want to make you upset. I just want to focus on what my argument is, and it's not neither right or wrong. You get some great points in there, maybe not. I'm going to get my points. There you go. So I respond by saying, U.S. ? We're talking the Quran, sweetheart. It's always a good way to get individuals who are on that side with sweetheart, honey, sweetie, bless your heart. They come back a little upset. So I get, you can all be so, let's see. Go look up the statistics on, of course, females being assaulted by men sexually, and physical abuse. That is, if you can read and comprehend. And one other thing, 33 U.S. states recognize child marriage. At this point, I haven't said anything about child anything. I didn't. That other post I read was after this, and mainly because I threw this in here. You'll understand why, and probably why that other person wrote down there. I respond, and try not to disrespect people, but you can kindly be cruel with their own words. And that's a way to at least don't get into pointing or whatever. I mean, she already said that I can't comprehend. So I'm not going to go lower, but I'm also going to be more in depth, as you'll see. We know how you women argue. This is me. It is about the Quran. Don't deflect a great point. Knowing how to read is one thing, comprehending is another. Something, as you've shown in your comments, you lack. Changed my mind. Kind of a joke from Louder with Crowder. Changed my mind because I actually would like her to get into my post, not come up with the U.S. and all of a sudden child marriage from my post of women getting the Quran say to beat your wives and how to beat your wives. I also put Muhammad married a 6-year-old and took her at 9 years old. I was trying to be a little more clean there. So I said Muhammad married a 6-year-old and took her at 9 years old. Took her as she was still playing with dolls in the writings. So there's no confusion. She was a little girl that was still playing with dolls. That it states she was still playing with dolls is very important in supporting that she was a little girl around 9 years old. Do your research, understand what during Muhammad times, if girls are still playing with dolls, they were little girls. There's no confusion. And his 6-year-old wife, who was still playing with dolls when he consummated it. It's there. After that, I got no response, and that was 7 hours ago. So we'll see if we get a response to that. However, just want to get into a couple of things. You have situations where, at least with the gentleman, he went back in line, and I think we got something decent out of it. We only talked a little bit longer. But, I mean, I could have gotten an argument with her about, she wants to talk about abuse and all this in the U.S. states. Guys, It's here. There's a situation where you have a man doing an honor beheading of his wife that cheated on him. That's not gonna, if it's over in a Islamic country, that's not even gonna be written as a crime, because it's not a crime. So throwing statistics, U.S. statistics against that, I could have went after on that, but the point is then where do you go from there? You go to another one, you go to another one. Stay focused. One thing I've learned, and it's been working for me, is is you have to look at life as a game. Not that you're playing games, like even a relationship. Look at your relationship as a game. Look at your battle with gambling, your battle with alcohol, blah, blah, blah. Look at it as a game. Maybe this is better for guys just because a lot of guys play sports and all that. But I mean, nowadays you got video games and whatever. So we're talking football, physical, actual football. We're talking about video games. Look at life as a game. Back in the day, I used to tell people, hey, take yourself out of the situation. What would you tell a friend to do? About a year or so ago, I came across this guy and he said, look at life as a game. Again, not that you're playing games, but look at life as a game. When you have a situation and it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to go, how would you do that in a game? Whether we're talking video games or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You have a situation where you go and you're like, wow, that's not the way I wanted to go. You go back, you analyze the situation, see what happens. And even in a video game, these new video games are not like the old video games that might be in the exact same spot, but because there's awesome games now, they are going to be kind of different. Well, just like regular football, you're going to have a situation where 2-minute warning, you're down by 3 like you were 3 weeks ago. Well, hopefully you practiced on doing something different. Of course, you have a different opponent. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But if it doesn't work, then you take back what you learned from there. So now you have 2 scenarios that didn't work. Take those 2 scenarios, go back and analyze it. Well, that's how you should look at life. Like I've said this before, and then someone got upset because he's like, you stop playing games. No, you look at things as a game. You go somewhere and say you go out and get a DUI and whatever. Man, I gotta stop. If you're not gonna stop cold, you do what you got to do, take care, 15-yard penalty, however you want to look at it. Then what am I going to do next time? I'm leaving. I don't care. As soon as I get somewhere, I'm giving my keys to the bartender and say, don't give them to me. I'm going to strategize, say one time you do that and all of a sudden the bartender gets messed with you too. Hey, give me my keys. You go home and you're like, wake up in the morning, you're like, man, okay, that didn't work. So I'm just going to Uber. You look at it as a scenario. I know that sounds simple, but I mean, there's other things that get more complicated. And you analyze situations and just look at things as games now. So in this situation, I've been in situations where I start arguing with somebody, and then all of a sudden, like even on the scenario that they were going to give, I definitely have arguments off the cuff, off the hip. I've got arguments about that, and I could have argued a really good point. Maybe they had great points, but the whole thing was, it's my argument, it's my post. I stick to what I want to stick to because I want to talk and I want to express that point. And my point is I'm talking about the Quran. I understand that any type of abuse, anything in the U.S., it's horrible. I have no problem talking about that if that was my post. I'm talking about the Quran. And in this situation, one of the horrible teachings. There's many other ones, which I'll eventually get into, most likely. But there's things people aren't even aware of that's in there. A lot of people don't know that they're consummated, married a 6-year-old. Their Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated her around the age of 9. And then they try to, and then you get an argument. I'm talking about that, and then all of a sudden someone get an argument because, say, someone's Christian, they start talking about Mary, who was 14. She was only. Like I start getting an argument with that, and I just now we're talking about Christianity. And I don't care about, at the point, I'm not talking about Christianity. Stick to the Quran. So at that point, I'm talking about the Quran. Stay focused. again, I've had situations where all of a sudden I have veered off because I'm like, I got some great points on that. But then by that time, now I'm 3 things off, and maybe I'm not. And even if I'm still great and still have a decent argument, all of a sudden it's not stuff that I want to be talking about, I want to express, and all of a sudden it just gets lost, and we get mad at each other. If we're focused on one thing, maybe something can get across. Maybe I'll learn something. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And before we head out too far, because there's still a couple things. It looks like I got a sponsor. Finally, we're gonna go ahead and get in this. I've been told to play this. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got.
Hi guys, welcome back to my mukbang. Today we are eating chicken and rice burritos with a bowl of queso from Torchy's Tacos. It was so embarrassing, but I asked for a big old bowl from Torchy's Tacos. Let's give it a try. So I don't want to dip my whole thing in there because the rice is gonna fall. So we're gonna sprinkle it on there. Mukbang. This is so TikTok mukbang.
All right. I don't know what that's about, but I might have got caught in there. But back to where I was saying is you might have a situation where you're arguing and people want to start veering off. I have a few sayings here. There's one big thing that I use is kings don't argue with peasants. That goes for, it's not necessarily calling somebody trash or anything. It's just I come up with an argument, and then somebody starts veering off, and you say, hey, no, we're talking about the Quran. Someone goes, then you say, you know what, kings don't argue with peasants. Nice chatting with you, but it's just a waste of my time. Let's go back having a drink. Let's go back doing whatever, because obviously we're not going to go there. I'll give you another prime example. Like, for instance, argument, say, about abortion, if you will, whatever, right? So all of a sudden they go over, and all of a sudden you throw in a decent point, because if you're just ignorant, they'll keep going off whatever they're saying, and you don't know what you're talking about. I feel I do know what I'm talking about. And all of a sudden they'll say, well, are you trying to tell me that somebody who's assaulted, we obviously know what that means, right? Assaulted, you have incest, you have, life of a mother, blah, 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 this and the other, and just turn to them and simply say, as I've been in scenarios with this, and say, okay, look, I give you those 3 that you say, and then the rest of the 750,000 abortions are okay. Well, no, then don't argue that point. Then don't even bring it up. It's a very small percentage. You want to get in that argument? We can get in that argument. I have an argument on that too, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about abortion, not talking about those things. And if me and that person could shake hands and say, okay, no other abortions are allowed except that small percentage, and you saved 800,000 kids from being aborted a year, I'd take that. But you know what? No, it's women's choice. Blah, blah. Then let's not talk. Then don't even bring it up. That's dumb. And there's many other arguments where people will bring stuff up like that, and that's a quick way to get rid of it. So, best thing in this situation, you see little arguments, think about some of the arguments that you had that you thought you were winning, or maybe not even winning, but you were making a good point, and all of a sudden it all went to shit. Even if the point is you want it, but then yet somebody got upset about it, and everything you said, all they do is hate you, and anything that positive that could have came out of it, of the discussion, you're not out there to change. You shouldn't be out there to change people's minds. You should be out there to just make them aware. It's just like addiction. Nobody's gonna make somebody stop drinking except that person. No one's gonna stop doing drugs unless that person does it. Nobody stop believing these type of heavy things unless they do. You can tell them. I can tell them what I believe. They can tell me what I believe. One time, one thing changed me, and I do listen to other people, and I do know at least one time I had a major change. and it was because somebody had, and I listened to what they said, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna elaborate. I'm gonna think about things, and you know what? They did change my mind. So that happens. But I'm gonna leave you with this. Like I said, just look back, go back, look at your scenarios that you had things that you thought were going the right way, and then it just went bad. Whether like I said, it's a night out when you decided that you weren't gonna get wasted or go home with somebody or spend that much money or whatever. And what went wrong? Don't be like, okay, this next time I'm gonna do this, because a lot of times when you end up putting that, whether you get a little of that spirit in you, and then you're like, oh no, I'll just do more and more and more. We've all been there. I've been there too. But if you get a strategy in and you work it and you see and just actually put a strategy in, that's going to actually be, you can't have a good defense if you don't strategize. What they say, defense wins championships. Well, you can't win without a defense. You can't win without an offense either, but you got to have a strategy. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you 7 important ways of ending an argument. If you want to end an argument, these actually weren't ended. They just kind of were left kindly open. Nothing negative was said. But when you get to a point when, like I said, kings don't argue with peasants. I'm done. You want to go veer off to your own thing. Maybe I'll talk to you about this another time. I don't know, maybe sit around and...
You want me to drag him out of here? Kick the shit out of him?
That's a possibility. But 7 ways of ending an argument. And you just want to end it. You don't want to... but you also want to let them know that that's it. One good way is a simple 3 words. You know what? I hear you. I hear you. Let them know you've acknowledged you're good, you're there, and just leave it at that if you like. I hear you. Get up. Have a good one, right? Another way, you know what? That's your opinion and you're entitled to it. You don't have to add, I don't agree with you, because there's no reason to continue the argument. You just say, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it. Third, I'm not available for disrespect. That's kind of when it starts getting heated and whatever, and I'm not available for disrespect. Leave it at that. One of my favorites, let's stick to the facts. I normally say stick to my argument. Unless, of course I'm arguing with somebody else, but then, that's on their mat, and I'll use any method that I want if they let me. But that's just because I'm an asshole. What can I say? But let's stick to the facts. And if they don't want to keep, I hear you. Someone starts getting a little heated. Well, hey, but I refuse to argue. Let's just have a drink. No reason to get... I refuse to argue. It's getting a little heated. I refuse to argue. We're good. Classic. Silence. Get up, walk away. That's it. Or the best. I wish you well, my friend. I wish you well. And leave them at that. Those are 7 good ways to do that. But I'm gonna head out. Let's see. Let me leave you with one of the sayings that I have in here that might be able to help you. Here's a few. My peace, or your peace, my peace is my power. The more you entertain negativity, the more it becomes your reality. Think about that. The more you entertain negativity, the more it becomes your reality. The more you entertain a horrible environment, the more that environment becomes your reality, Oh, there it is. A king doesn't argue with peasants. So that was a free one. Their perception of you is not your reality. That goes along with needing validation. It's such a weight off somebody's back to not need validation. So the perception of you is not your reality. Their perception of you is not your reality. You fail because you lose focus. That's more truer than not. And this is close to another validation one, but stop waiting for the world to clap for you. And then I'll leave you with this, since a couple of them kind of repeat, kind of meaning some people don't want to see you succeed because it reminds them of their shortfalls. A lot of people out there aren't your friends. And when you realize that,
you ever seen a corn pop? Look at this.
you can always give one of these.
Bam.
Dang.
You ever
Yeah.
seen-
So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. Again, this is Tez Reaction. I'm sorry, this is Tez Mania Reactions channel. Like, subscribe, share, comment. I don't know if that we actually do have a sponsor. That was a little weird, but appreciate you hanging around. And if you have any negative, any positive, any personal, or any facts, throw it in there. Let me know. Look it up. If you want to reply, I'll reply. If not, I'll still look them up. Appreciate you all, and stay in school.